2008 was not a good year for me. To top it off was the loss of my job. I had two choices. I could go home and lay on the couch and feel sorry for myself, or I could just look at it as a new adventure and move on. So what I did was I sold my house and I loaded everything up in a 15-foot truck and I moved to Florida looking for jobs. I found one that was at Florida Hospital Zephyrhills. And I remember coming to orientation that first day and they spoke about the SHARE principles and they spoke about their mission was extending the healing ministry of Christ. And I was a little bit uncomfortable because I was not raised in a family that went to church. And then finally, I just decided, it can't hurt. A little prayer is good for me. I could probably use some. In 2010, I met a man named Curtis. And Curtis was the love of my life. He taught me how to be in a partnership, not a relationship. He taught me how to compromise. He taught me how to love. And unfortunately, he became quite ill. And he was on a ventilator and in a hospital for 30 days. We would take turns praying and just hoping that he could come home again. So he was able to come home. So we were married on the 31st of March. It was a beautiful day, probably the best day I've ever had. A week later, he got sick again. And he did not survive. I have never had such highs and lows in my life. It would have been so easy to turn my back on God. Because I was angry. He and I started going to church before he passed, and that was important to him because it did bring him back to his God. And he had not been there for some time. My hardest thing was to go back to church again without him. But I have continued to go, and I have continued to grow in my faith. I was baptized for the first time at age 59. Every day is a struggle. Every day is a struggle. I miss him so much, but I also smile some days. I have a wonderful team of people that work for the case management division. They have been my rock, my Florida family, because I don't have family down here. They helped me plan the wedding. They pretty much did all of the preparations. And then they were there during the sad times too. The mission of the hospital is to extend the healing ministry of Christ, and I have to say I've experienced that firsthand. All of my coworkers have tried to support me as best they can. Not always easy on those days when I just want to shut my door. It's hard to support someone who's grieving because you don't know what to do. But sometimes they just hug me and say, you've been in my prayers. My team at work practiced extending the healing ministry of Christ on me. They have spent a lot of time just talking with me, praying for me, hugging me, doing whatever they can do for me. It feels strange to be on the other end. But I see how important it is, the healing ministry of Christ, and just offering that to people. I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm doing the right things. I'm waiting to see what God's new plan is for me. I'm not very patient, but I'm waiting. And I know it's going to be a good one.